So, my dear brothers and sisters, on this feast of Our Lady of Sorrows, we have the opportunity to meditate a little on Our Lady's great love for us and what her love cost her. Now, for any of you moms out there, or any of you dads, and maybe even for any of you people who've worked with other people, I think maybe nurses, teachers, priests, we have a very how would you say? It's a delicate role. You have to care for people. You have to love people, and yet you can't allow yourself to be completely consumed by that love. You know what I mean? Like even here, every year we have to love all of those who come in our doors, but a year later, most of them are going to leave. You know, and you have to let them go. You just have to let them go. You just have to let them go, and maybe some will come back, which is great. But others you just have to let them go, and you have to let them go make their mistakes. And all of you parents, you know what I'm talking about. When you have kids and they're 17, 18, and then at 18 they say, "Mom, can I borrow the car? Just I'll bring it back, probably more or less in one piece, like with most of the rubber left on the tires, you have to let them go, and you have to let them go out into a world which is becoming ever, dare I say, darker. Ever more dangerous for the souls of people. So you have to let them go. And what's the difficulty with this? The difficulty with this is if and when they fall or fail, even though nothing happens to you physically, you suffer with those who suffer because you love them. When you let your children go and they get into a bad relationship, and you can see a million miles away that when your dear daughter Rachel arrives home with her new boyfriend, whose nickname is Viper. That's a wonderful name, and he's got all sorts of, piercings and tattoos, and death to the Pope on his T-shirt. And he goes, "That's a charming young man. And what do you do for a living?" "Oh, I'm an artist." Great, and this is absolutely. But you can see this is going nowhere, right? This is going nowhere. And then lo and behold, a month later, she discovers that he was unfaithful, and yada yada yada, and her heart's broke, and you want to break his head, and all these things. But you're in pain because she's in pain. But then a couple of years later, when things maybe are even worse, and a marriage breaks up. And then you're looking at, your daughter, and there's fights over custody for the children, and there was addiction, and there was hurt, and there was abuse, there was all sorts, and even though nothing happens to you physically, you suffer because of your love for your child. You suffer because of your love. So there's this kind of interesting paradox almost. The way we talk about love today, it's all romantic, and dare I say it's even almost always erotic. As soon as you say love, I love someone, they always imply there's something physical there. It's also difficult for me as a priest, like when I say I love people, and then I actually can't say I love people because people will misunderstand it. It's a strange world today. The words that we're used to using we can't use anymore. But as soon as you say you love someone, you leave yourself open to being hurt. Right? So, this is the way Christians, the way Catholics understand love. Love and sacrifice, dare I say love and suffering, go together. Because if you love, it's going to hurt you. So you have two options. Number one, don't love. Just don't love. Just keep it all superficial, keep it all on the surface, just keep it all just friends, just hanging out, just acquaintances, just drinking buddies, just football buddies. Keep it all surface level. And then everything's fine because you don't get hurt because nothing gets in. But that's hell. That's a life of hell. That's a life of superficiality. That's a life where the deepest needs of your heart will never be satisfied. Or you go for it. You love and you take on this loving cross of love, which means that I may on occasion be misunderstood, may be rejected. And then, of course, there's that very difficult phase for parents when the children are between the ages of 15 and 24 or 5-ish, when parents know nothing. You know nothing, Mom. What would you know? Right? Then when the kids hit maybe 24, 25, they realize maybe Mom and Dad actually knew something, right? Especially when they become parents. But there's a difficult phase there, a difficult phase of rejection. And that can really hurt. So we imagine then, like, how God is, how things are from God's perspective. God who's almighty, right? God who lacks nothing. And yet God who is love. And so because he is love, he can be rejected. He can be hurt. And he can be told, like, when you think about it on the grand scheme of things, he can be told by us creatures, I don't care. I don't need you. I don't want you. When you think about this just for a second now, from God's perspective, who gave us everything that exists, right? The whole earth, the whole universe. And then, of course, even the things that you think you own, your abilities, where do they come from? Your intelligence? Your body? Your incredibly good looks? Where do they all come from? They were all a gift. Everything you got, everything you have, everything you are is a gift from God. And yet we can say, Lord, no thanks. All this, will, your will for me, your desires for me, your commandments, they just get in my way. So Lord, if you don't mind, get out of my way and I'll be happier. And so then God, as a father, has to actually step back and watch us, his children, make a mess of things. Right? So we imagine the love then of our Blessed Lady, who's our heavenly mom, right? Who sees us then, her children, just make an absolute mess of what we're doing. Make a mess of our lives. And because of her love, she experiences this pain of her children getting lost, her children getting hurt. It's so. This isn't just another lovely little cute devotion. This is very, very real. Our Heavenly Mother, who sees her children, who sees the world as it is now, suffering so much, and she suffers because of her love for us, because of her unity with Jesus. So it's as I said, it's like divine paradox, that omnipotence, that power doesn't make you untouchable, or doesn't make you completely unaffected by our sin, by our rejection. God opens his heart to us. He literally wears his heart on his sleeve, not only on his sleeve, but his hands are nailed back to a cross, so he cannot defend himself, he cannot protect himself. And his heart isn't just worn on his sleeve, but it's pierced, it's opened for people to draw grace from if they wish, and to reject him if they wish. The freedom that we have is just simply astounding. This wonderful gift that we've been given. Yesterday we were talking about sandcastles, and how we spend so much time building up things that we consider important here. And yet, just like sandcastles, everything in time is going to pass. Everything. No matter what, like even empires, right, that were built up, that this empire will last forever. No empire has lasted forever. None. Not a single one, no matter how important, no matter how much of the earth they control at any one time, no empire has ever survived. Even those things will pass. But what's typically, dare I say, diabolical is to convince us that even though we know it won't last, it's good enough while it does. Satan himself knows that his reign or his power will not last. He knows he can't defeat God. It's impossible for him to defeat God. He knows he can't. And yet, it's enough for him to say, well, look, my reign will be good enough while it lasts. I'll take as many souls as I can. I'll do as much damage as I can. I'll hurt as many people as I can while I can. Even though I know, in time my reign will end, I'll do as much damage as I can while I can. And this is like the mentality of us so often. Every time we choose sin. I know fundamentally, we think of people in addiction. They know it won't actually solve their problem to take these tablets or drink or engage in whatever activity they think will satisfy their needs. So they do it. They know it won't actually fulfill their desires, but they do it anyway. It's this typically diabolical temptation, even though you know it won't satisfy you, do it anyway. It's good enough while it lasts. And then what happens? Well, misery happens. That's what happens. Because we're created for so much more. So any sin, any temptation that we have, when you step back from it and take a look at these things from God's perspective, any sin, whether it's marriage infidelity, whether it's pornography, whether it's any addiction, whether it's just careerism, just put your career above everything, family, friends, and love and fidelity, everything. Do whatever you need to do just to get ahead in life, all those kind of things. Even though we know deep down that it's not really going to satisfy us, we do it anyway, or we're tempted to do it anyway. I guess it's so typically diabolical. And through all of this, we have our heavenly family looking on. We have God the Father, the source of all life and love. We have Jesus the Redeemer. We have the Holy Spirit, the personification of love, right? And the sacramental grace that we have through our baptism. The indwelling of the Trinity. The Trinity living in us. My goodness. Try and get your head around that, like. God living in us? We living in God? I don't even know I can't even begin to explain what that is or looks like. I just don't know. I know it's true, but it's just way beyond us, like, when we think what we're called to. And yet so often we're tempted to sit in our little pool of mud and say, I'm really happy here. I'm sure eventually this mud will make me happy. This mud will eventually satisfy me. If I can just get more mud, all I need is more mud. And the Lord said, no, I've got a whole play pen over here. I've got a whole Disney world here for you. Get out of your mud. No, but I like this mud. I just need more mud. Just give me 10 minutes more mud. It'll definitely make me happy. No, it won't. And our sorrowful mother looks on. And because of her love, because of her unity, she suffers for us. So we ask our Blessed Lady today, our Queen and our Mother, our sorrowful Mother, to open our eyes to the beautiful realities that surround us, the beautiful heavenly graces within us, the nobility of our call, the sanctity of which we are capable with God's help. We're surrounded by such hope if we could just see it. May our Blessed Lady guide us to the foot of the cross, guide us to the open heart of her Son, the source of all grace. Amen.